Lexy by altrome, project at the end of 2015, FDM printer, i.e. molten deposition moderation, based on Core 9Y movements, exactly what I was looking for, alongside my old Cartesian. In fact, we will talk about this today. I wrote to the project creator, back in 2016, about some of my doubts about the printer. Receiving an immediate response from another person, I decided to undertake this exact project. A project that I immediately considered well thought out and carried out, and which could be exactly what I was looking for, at least a solid start to start with. On the home page there is an exhaustive description, including the latest 2016 upgrades, as well as the complete and detailed list of all the components necessary to complete this printer, from mechanics to electronics, including a possible extra laser module, not of my interest. Heated print plate and extruder, decided the color for the new printer, 2.5 kilo of black PLA and 750 grams of translucent green PLA, STL download, 100% filling, and off you go. These are the results. 77 grams for the 4 leg supports, 91 grams for the Z-axis, hidden, for a total of just over half a kilo of green PLA, 23 grams for the abs parts, and 226 grams for the remaining black PLA parts. That added to the abs and the greens, we total exactly 800 grams of prints, maximum filling chosen by me for the longest lasting possible. To tell the truth, some parts are missing, having been modified with respect to the original project, plane and block Z-axis for example. We will see other changes and implementations during this episode and the next. However, 1 kilogram of filament is sufficient to replicate all parts with a maximum fill. Well, let's start with some more details and information. The static parts will be black, while the moving parts will be green, with some exceptions for aesthetic reasons to my taste. Here we find the 2 prints relating to the Z-axis, where the 2 smooth Z-axis bars will be housed, together with the trapezoidal bar in movement. There will be 4 prints that will close and host the 4 rubber legs. Legs coming directly from the TheMiguelBi.com site, like the rest of the structure that we will see shortly. 2 handles that I probably won't install, 7 inserts in my case in abs, slightly softer and more flexible, to adapt the self-lubricating bronze bearings to the moving parts of the 9 and Y axis, green in my case. Free not to print them if you use normal ball bearings. 4 prints on the corners will complete the mechanical structure. As already said, it is recommended to print these parts with a filling equal to 100%. These 2 front corners will only slide the belt, weaving it properly, while these 2 will also host the 2 motors for the Core 9Y movements. Finally, these 4 will hold the smooth Y-axis bars. We now find the mobile trolley that will house the extruder block and perform all the movements in the 9-axis of the printer. To complete the extruder block, we find here the center of the MK8 style wire pusher, to be fixed to the extruder motor, as well as the extruder fixing bracket in abs. On the left we have the 2 green prints that will move the trolley along the Y-axis, with respective stops on the smooth bars, and special supports for the bearings, where the belt will then slide. The last print on this table is the support to the printing plate here in the center, initially designed to accommodate 2 bars 20 by 40, revisited later, for reasons of total weight of the top, to a single extruded aluminum bar 20x40. Soon we will see it better. Extruded aluminum bars, all from TheMiguelBi.com. The only problem is having a VAT number in order to buy from them. For details and measurements, you can find everything listed on the Otherworld page. The profile is a 20 by 40 mm, with 6 mm slots, the color of my choice, strictly anodized black. Having decided to equip this printer with a heated bed increased by 100 mm, the width of the entire structure. We therefore have a 300 mm bar for the print bed, which I will shorten as needed. 4 bars will be 360 mm, another 4 400 mm, and the last 4, larger, 460 mm. To save a few euros, and also to be able to close them again with a sort of cap, color, fashion, I decided not to buy ready-made metal corners, but rather to print them in 3D, always with maximum filling. The result then, with the cover I designed will be this, a touch of color, to remain in the black-green style of departure. Some T-nuts will be needed. These are to be inserted during the assembly of the bars, so it is forbidden to make mistakes, or you will pay dearly for the mistake. Some M5 screws, not too long, and not too short. A mix of M3 screws for the assembly of the molded parts, a few plastic washers for M5 screws, ending with special covers for extruded aluminum bars, contained in these long 150 cm tubes. For an excellent final finishing of the printer, in my opinion, money well spent. Much more precise and aesthetically better than the Chinese ones found on the net. Easy to install, and with a flat style. Excellent for hiding and passing all the various electric cables and cables inside. As for electronics, in 2016 I opted for a RAMS 1.4 of the Spanish static board, more professional and cared for than Chinese economic clones, with lots of thanks on business card, but here is the card, well packed and protected, in all its glory. Let's free her from this electrostatic protection bag, and here is the card, in a fantastic black color. Other diverse material, find the full list on the Thingiverse page. Quickly here we find E3D V6 Full Metal Extruder, 3mm edition. Together with a special 3D printing in ABS to fix it I made, RAMS 1.4 plus strictly original Arduino Mega, 4 NEMA 17 engines, other M5 screws shorter than the previous ones, ball bearings for the Z-axis, springs of various types, diameters, compression, 4 DRV8825 drivers, being the engines with the high amperage, the simple and cheap A4988 were not sufficient, toothed gear for 3mm filament, various 12-volt fans, M3 black plastic washers, couplers for the Z-axis motor and trapeze bar, 5 meters of belt and 220-tooth GT2 pulleys, various ball bearings, mechanical limit switches, self-lubricating M8 brass bar bearings, cables varies for motors, limit switches etc. Trapezoidal bar. And it could only be missing, icing on the cake, 300 by 200 mm printing plate, 140 watts are also supported by any electronic card, without having to resort to a special external additional MOSFET, can be powered with either 12 or 24 volts, magnificent. Finally a serious upgrade to my collection of 3D printers. 100K temperature probe, position in the center of the printing plate, to be fixed with a special Kapton tape resistant to high temperatures. Display, avant-garde at the time back in 2016, today surpassed by the most performing and graceful color touchscreens. 12,864 LCD graphic display. Inside we find the display, including SD card slot, adapter for RAMS 1.4, and 2 flat cables for its connection. Another print made later, to perfectly accommodate this type of display, perfect for extruded aluminum bars 20 by 40 millimeters. Print made in double color, perfectly accommodates this display. The only negative note, having enlarged the dimensions of the printer, I will need 2 much longer flat cables to be able to reach the RAMS electronic board. Little happy choice for this 12-volt 30-ampere power supply. It looks like a spaceship taking off from how annoying the noise of this fan is. He also arrived with an obvious blow. Let's quickly scroll over to the mechanical assembly part, which is a bit boring. Just build the structure, cube, inserting the T-nuts from time to time during assembly, We then fixed the corners to stop and give rigidity to the structure. It seems to take shape. And while confusion is rampant above the table, under the table there is an infallible huntress, ready to recover anything that falls on the ground. It also performs a very important quality control and structure assembly task. We also finished by mounting the two motors on the upper part, and in the lower part, thanks to the previously inserted T-nuts, we fixed the 4 brackets with attached legs. The electronic part will find space on this aluminum sheet of 50 by 13 centimeters. I designed some ad hoc supports to support the power supply and electronic boards, all fixed with M3 screws, washers and appropriate nuts. And while everything seemed to be going well, installing the Z-axis bars I ran into a bad reality. The 2 smooth bars, including the trapezoidal bar, do not reach the upper fixing bracket. From the start, it seemed obvious to me that something was wrong, and the problem was right on the assembled structure. On the reverse, after several curses, I rolled up my sleeves and completely dismantled the structure. 4 bars have obviously been reversed with 4 other bars, reassembled everything in a hurry. The structure is more homogeneous, less tall and deeper than before. Now the Z-axis is okay. In fact, both the smooth bars and the trapezoidal bar come out of the upper bracket. We carry out the wiring to the power supply. One will be the 230-volt main switch, while the round button will be used to turn on the cold white LED lighting that I will later install. Some shots of the assembled structure so far. Let's wait to fix the Z-axis bars, because we should first insert the previously assembled plane structure into it. The structure of the temporary plan will be this. As soon as I have the print area 300 by 200, I will design and create a new print plan with arms printed in a single block, thus replacing these 4 single arms, of luck and little stable. We fixed the ball bearings with M3 bolts, and we also fixed the bronze head of the trapezoidal bar. I printed a special cap to close the aluminum bar of the printing plate, with a nut inside, so that a future chamber for splendid time lapses can be installed later. 4 knobs with 4 M3 nuts inside will allow adjustment of the printing plate leveling. The printing plate will be placed on a 3 mm thick aluminum plate, insulated in the middle with 6 mm thick cork, which will help us not needlessly disperse heat, and these are the accessories to fix everything to the 4 arms seen above. To avoid deformations on the heating surface during assembly, I will use M3 towers 6 mm high. For the moment I will use normal electrical cables with a diameter of 2.5 mm square, and I will tin them with the 12-volt configuration. We put the thermal probe in the center and stop everything with Kapton tape. Et voila, this is the end result. For now it should be fine. We now install active dissipation fan, Arduino Mega Genuine, and ramps 1.4. In the meantime, I had found these beautiful panels at a DIY store. The idea was to use them to close the printer in a closed box. All in all cheap. This is their brand in case any of you are interested. Unfortunately, I did not buy them at the time, and being unable to trace them at the end, I opted for sheets of polyurethane foam of a simple black color, even more expensive. Once the visible sections of cable have been removed, we insert them into the aluminum profiles, and then close the slots with the appropriate fillers. We also repeat with the other motor cable. We won't worry much about the underlying part, because it will then be completely closed with the black polyurethane foam sheet. We also assemble the 2 parts that will then slide on the epsilon axis. Don't pay attention to the turrets with the bearings, they were wrongly installed in the opposite way. We finish fixing the various bearings also on the remaining 3D pieces, thus preparing the seat for the belt, which we will assemble at the end. Another problem could give these 3 screws. Later we will see if it will be so. We mount the 2 smooth epsilon axis bars. Little is missing. If it were not for another serious fact that hinders us from continuing assembly, That is, the two x-axis bars are not long enough. Obviously I must have ordered an incorrect size. Now there are two alternatives: reprint the two green 3D pieces, or proceed with a new order, with smooth 8mm bars of the appropriate length. At the time, I chose this last option, and unfortunately, while waiting for the two new bars of suitable size, I no longer finished this video, nor the printer in its entirety, thus leaving the newly assembled extruder block orphaned, together with this tangle of cables both from the extruder and from the heating print plate. Stay connected and subscribe to the channel. Also press the bell to not miss the next episode. Many upgrades will be revealed. Stay tuned. Ciao.